It's true, the blog is gone. Hi, I'm Ben, and yes, it is true we've removed the blogging system, but we've replaced it with another system that is a lot more flexible and covers a lot more use cases. And we're calling it the Elements CMS. And what we've done is base the CMS around collections. So you can create a collection of data around anything you like, be that blog posts, team members, accordion FAQs, you name it. Anything that you can loop over, you can now do it in this new CMS. Now, if you haven't watched the blogging preview from a couple of weeks ago, I'd recommend you go and do that right now. A lot of the core concepts that I showed in the previous videos still apply to this new system, but we've made it a lot more flexible. If you watched that video from a couple of weeks ago, you'll remember that I had a list of blog posts in here. I'm going to show you how to recreate that in this new CMS system. Okay, so rather than having blog posts, we have a collection that we can drop into here. And in here, we need to link our settings collection to those posts. So I'm going to go back in here, go to collections and posts, and you can see I've got 4 posts set up. And I'm going to link that up. So that's linked up to our posts. This is going to loop over those posts now. So how do we design each one of the posts in this list, or each one of these items in this collection? Okay, so the collection has a grid, and you can see here we can drop in our components into here to design the item, and I've added a nice preview here so you can kind of see how the items are going to get repeated. So in this item we can drop any component we want. I'm going to put a flex in here to start, and you can see that that gets added in here. Now this, anything inside of this collection is going to get repeated for every item, okay? So what we want to do is start adding item data. So we're going to add a field. Now this is a field for each item. And in here, with the settings, you can see we can choose which field we want. So let's start with the title. And we can also add an image. So I'm going to put an image in here. This is the item image. This image gets all the same settings as the standard image component. So you should be used to this by now. You can set the aspect ratio like this and all the spacing and sizing. I'm just going to add a bit of styling to the flex to make this a bit nicer. So let's go ahead and let's add a background. I'm going to add some padding like so. And I'm going to space out these items slightly. So vertical spacing, let's go like this. I'm going to make this title slightly bolder, like so. And why don't we add a box shadow here as well. And I'm going to make the corners rounded. So this flex box here is going to get repeated for each item in this collection. Okay, so if I publish this to my local server and we hop over to Safari, so you can see each one of our blog posts are being listed out here on the page and designed in the way that we want them to be. So we can change this design at any time and all of those items will get updated. So if we don't want that background color anymore, we can simply do that. If we want to add another field for this item, we can drop in a field here and we can select a different field. So let's say we want the excerpt and we only want 15 words from that. So this is going to grab the body of that post. It's going to grab the first 15 words and put it into the field here. Again, we can style this however we want. So we can make this slightly smaller, change the color, maybe a bit lighter. And if I publish that and pop back over to Safari, you'll see those changes have been updated. So this is how we can build up a collection of items and loop over them inside of Elements. Okay, so if you remember from last week, we've got these posts and this post has certain metadata attached to it. Now, one thing that came up with a lot of you was around the UI for this. Now, yes, this is Markdown based, it's slightly manual, but as we said in the forums, there is an online element coming to this later. We will have online editing with a really nice UI so that you don't need to go into these Markdown files and manually type in all of this data. You'll be able to log into your website and edit all of this directly in the browser. So you get a really nice UI to, for example, change the image for this post. Okay, next up, I want to show you how you can add the CMS to an existing project in Elements. So we've got this really nice fitness project that's available for free on the marketplace. And if you click the Open in Elements button, that'll open up this project directly in Elements. Okay, so once you've got the project open in Elements, what I'm going to do is on the classes page here, I want to convert these plans over to being CMS items. So what I've already done is set up a CMS folder, I've added a plans folder, and then I've added a markdown file for each one of our plans. And what we want to do is convert this data over to the CMS data. So to do that, in here, we've got a grid currently, okay? What we want is a collection. So I'm going to drop a collection into here. This is based on the grid. So right now we want 3 columns, and we can set the horizontal spacing, set that to 10. Now, what we can do is just literally copy over the first container here into this collection, okay? Now this is all hard-coded data right now. What we need to do is hook up this collection and each one of these items to our data. So the first thing to do is select the collection and tell the component what data you want it to use. So you're going to set the page to the CMS plans, okay? We do that there. Now once we've done that, we're going to loop over all of those plans and it's going to spit out the data for us. Right now this is hard-coded, so if I publish this to my local server and I go and preview that in Safari and refresh, you'll see that we get those 3 plans, but the titles are hard-coded with 1 day pass. So to convert that over to CMS data, what we want is a field for this item. We'll drop that in there, and we want the title for each plan. So we've selected that there. We can then go ahead and change the color of this and the sizing. Let's go with the heading font and 2XL, and we'll go uppercase. Okay, now let's delete this hard-coded text. Now if I publish this again, go back to Safari refresh, you'll see we've now got 1 day pass, monthly, and yearly. Now, one nice feature that we've already implemented is the ability to have a custom field. Okay, so you can see here custom. If we wanted to make this price custom, right now in our plans, we don't have that data here. So the way that we can do that is we can just write price and we can say $20 per day. Okay, let's copy that. And we'll put the price into here. We'll say $100 per month. And the yearly one, we'll say $1,000 per year. Now when we go back to our classes, to make this text dynamically updated with the price field that I've just added, all we need to do is add the field, select custom, and type in the field that I just created. So in this case, it's price. We can then customize the color again and the sizing. Go uppercase here, we'll make it a little bit bolder. Maybe we just want large. Okay, now let's get rid of that. We'll publish this, hop over to Safari, and there you can see I've now updated the pricing to a dynamic field coming from the CMS. Okay, once we've done that, what we could do is now go into here and delete our hard-coded plans. I'm going to republish again quickly. Go back to Safari, refresh. And as we scroll down, you can see those get the reveal animations as well. Okay, so as I scroll down, you can see that kind of scrubs into place. And this is the power of Elements. Because we are freely able to design all of these things as we like, we can mix and match any of the components into the CMS data. So as you can see, we've got the reveal component here, and that manages the scrubbing up and down of these components. And then in the collection, we've gone and built up a custom card essentially for each one of these plans. And as you can see, we've got a container, we've got Flex, we've got an SVG, we've got CMS fields. We've got a mixture of all of the components from Elements. Again, this is the power of Elements. You can mix and match any of the components you want to build up the design that fits your project. Okay, I've got a couple more examples for you. First one is using accordions. So we have created a list of questions here, and we've got a load of markdown files. So this is our FAQ for Elements. And what we've done is we've hooked that up into this collection here. So what I've done is set the questions as the data for this collection. Inside of there, we've added an accordion, like you can do anywhere on the page. And all we've done in the accordion is set CMS fields for the data. So you can see here we've got a field, and that is attached to the title for this FAQ or this question. And then in the content area, we've used the body of that post. So for example, here you can see this is the title and this is the body. So if I publish this and we hop over to Safari, you can see here I've got all of my questions. So you can see here, this is built with Elements. These are the questions, and this is the body for each one of those markdown files. Again, this is the power of Elements. Mixing and matching CMS data with all of the components that we ship in Elements is just giving you so much flexibility. I really can't wait to see what you guys are going to build with this. But again, as you can see here, all of the FAQs are listed. We get a really nice accordion, and at the same time we can go in and design this however we want. We can change the title color. We can, we can do all of those standard controls, make this slightly bigger if we want, make the font weight bolder, just go off and publish that to our local server, refresh, and there you can see we've got a completely different design. Okay, the last example I want to show you is this Meet the Team example down here. So again, we've got a collection that we've hooked up to our team. So our team folder is here. We've got a list of team members. And inside of this collection, we've built up a person card. So right here is the item image. So the image for this item in the collection. And then we've got 3 fields. We've hooked this up to the title. The next one is hooked up to a custom field, as I showed you earlier. This is position. And then we've got another custom field, which is the raw body for this file. So in here, you can see we've got the title, we've got their position, and then we're getting the raw text from this markdown file. So this won't convert this to HTML, and this is a really good use case as to when you might want just the raw text from the body of the markdown file. Okay, so if we publish this and we hop over to Safari, okay, and as you can see, we've got these cards listed down here. Now this is a card for each one of our team members that are listed here. And you can see as we roll over, we get this really nice subtle effect where the card zooms up. So again, this is the power of Elements, right? On this collection here, we've got a container, and all we've done is we set transforms on hover. So as you hover at the end, we go to 102%. We can make this slightly bigger so that it becomes a bit more obvious when you're watching. We can do this. We could even rotate this around slightly. Okay, so if I publish these changes and go back to Safari, now you can see that they zoom up slightly more. Yeah. Okay, before I finish up the video, I want to cover a few questions that you've got and just get your feedback on a couple of ideas that we've got, or a couple of ideas that I'm working on right now. Okay, so the first one was we got asked about how would I do a portfolio with this. So right now you can see we've already got images, and at the moment we're only supporting one image. We do have plans to support more of those. What we're thinking is that we're going to have some named fields in here, something like a cover image. So you could type in any image name from your resources. This would give you a couple of different images that you could use, for example, like a thumbnail and maybe a wider banner image. Another thing we're thinking we're going to want is some way to do a gallery of images, or some way for you to specify an array of images that you could use in one of the other components in Elements. So for example, one idea is that we have a gallery field here, and you could type in the names of the files that you want to use for this gallery. So you would literally just type in all of these. Now again, There's going to be a UI for this. You're not going to have to do this manually, but right now we haven't got to that. But an online editor with a nice UI is coming. But yeah, one idea we have for the gallery here is that we do something like this. We have an array of items for the gallery. Then when you come to build up, for example, your portfolio, we might be able to integrate into the already built gallery in here. So you'd be able to like drop in a gallery in here. And when you set the resources here, rather than having to drop in a folder of resources, as that would be hard coded, we're going to allow you to select a CMS item field. So there'd be a selector in here, and that would let you select the gallery field that we've just created in the file here. So that's one idea that we've got. Please let me know what you think about that. In a similar way, we've got the image slider component. That would work in a similar way. So rather than dropping in a folder of images here, you'd pick a CMS item field. So again, you'd pick the gallery field to use for the images for this component. And just to round this video up, there's a couple of other things I wanted to mention. Collection filtering. You will be able to filter all of these collections based on all of the different data that's coming from the CMS. Okay, so you could be able to set a publish or draft. You can filter by the status. There'll be the dates, tags, authors, and featured. So you'll be able to, for example, set a certain post or a certain project as featured, and then you could design that slightly differently, or you could have the entire collection only list out your featured projects, for example, if that's on the home page. Yeah, these are going to give you options to display different types of data in this collection. We also have the conditional. Now I showed this off in the blog previews that I did a couple of weeks ago, but you will be able to put a conditional in here. Let's just get rid of a couple of those. And this conditional component will let you display data based on different things from your CMS items. So for example, you could say if this item is featured, then whatever you drop into this conditional would be displayed. You can obviously do the inverse of that. So if the item isn't featured, then you can do something. So for example, if this was a featured team member, you might want to put a gold star on this person. So you could just drop in an SVG, and that would only be displayed if this person was featured. And to make this person featured, you would simply go in here and you would add the featured flag to be true. So when we go and conditionally display data, this is how that gets hooked up. You can do the same thing for tags. So you can say if any of these tags are matched, you could also say featured here, or you could have a different department. You could have like developer. So if you're a featured developer, any content in here would get displayed. We can also say if this person has an image. So we might want to have different cards depending on whether we have a profile image or not. So that will let you display content conditionally based off of data from the CMS. Okay, one other thing that you're going to want to do with the CMS is just edit single pieces of text or single pieces of data. So for example, if we wanted to make this general questions text editable via the CMS, we can also do that. So the first thing we need to do is add an item. So rather than adding a collection of data, we want to add a single item of data. So we can pop that in here. Then inside of there, we can add any of these other components as we have done with the collection. So we would want a field. And for example, we would want the title field from an item. So all we need to do is link up this item to a single piece of data in the CMS. So to do that, I'm going to add a new markdown file in here, and I'm just going to call it heading. And in here, we're going to have a title. So right now, this is general questions. So let's go ahead and call this general questions. And then what we need to do is hook up this item to that file. So we're going to choose that file. We go into here. We're going to choose this heading.md, set the link. Now when we publish this and hop back to Safari, you can see here we've got this general questions text, and that is coming from the CMS file here. So if I change this to FAQs and we republish, you can see that's getting updated. Okay, so if we want this to be styled the same, we can just come in here. We can make this an H1, for example. We could have it as the heading centered. We'll make it larger, slightly bolder, change the color. And what we can then do is get rid of this one. And if we republish, hop over, there we've got FAQs. So as soon as we update this data here, we'll go back to general questions and publish. That's how we can hook up single pieces of data or single items from the CMS into our website. So this isn't only for collections, it'll allow you to edit all sorts of data. You can do single images, you can do text, you can do paragraphs, you can do an entire page worth of content. You can also loop over data, as I've already shown you. Okay, and now of course, if you have more than one piece of data in here, for example, if we had a pricing piece of data and we just say this is $99, just as an example, to hook this up, we can add another field into here, and we can say custom, I can say pricing, and let's just style this really quickly. We'll put this as bold. Let's change the color so you can see this works. And if I publish that, and we go there, you can see we get that pricing in there. So that doesn't look very good, but the idea is there. You can hook up single pieces of data through the CMS in this way with the item component. Okay, that's all I've got for you today. Hope you've enjoyed this preview of the new CMS components. If you've got any feedback, please let us know down in the comments. We want to know, does this work for you? Do you think we're missing a use case? Have you got any ideas on what we should add to this? Do you think we're missing anything? Yeah, just let us know down in the comments below. We want to make this CMS work for all of our users. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.